Hello, the name is Regis Kilbin, and the game is Hearthstone. And today I'm going to do a deck guide on a deck I'm calling the Bearded Raptor Rogue. I'm using this bearded nomenclature to describe decks that include Brann Bronzebeard, since beard is so prominent there in his name, and the fact that they're built around his really strong battle cry effect. But the Bearded Raptor Rogue isn't just centered around Brann Bronzebeard, it also has the new League of Explorers card, Unearthed Raptor. You combine the two, you get the Bearded Raptor Rogue. But unlike a lot of decks designed to take advantage of the Brann Bronzebeard and Unearthed Raptor synergy, this one's less about gimmicks and pulling off like crazy 16 deathrattle tricks with Unearthed Raptor, and more about just building a really strong tempo-based mid-range deck. So it uses those two cards along with a lot of different deathrattle cards and kind of rogue standard board control cards to create a deck that's actually quite good at surviving through the early game and building up steam in the mid game before finally finishing them off with some of that damage that Rogue is known for, along with just really strong board presence. This deck is pretty good against the hyper-aggressive meta that is present right now, but can also even survive against Reno Jackson type decks just because it can pull off really big turns even in the late game. So you can just make big tempo plays that swing the board in your favor and allow you to push for lethal in a game you might otherwise not be able to win. So now that you kind of understand what the Bearded Raptor Rogue is all about, why don't we just go through card by card and discuss why each of these cards are in the deck and what it is exactly they do to help this deck accomplish its goals. So up first is Backstab. This is your ultimate tempo clear play. Since it's 0 mana, it's great for setting up combos with stuff like Si7 Agent, but also just does 2 damage and is free, so in the early game it can really help you get ahead on the board at the cost of card advantage. And when it's buffed by spell power from something like Blood Mage Thanos or Azure Drake, it gets even better, so it's just a great utility spell whether you get it early or you get it late. Preparation is another 0 mana spell that's all about tempo advantage. This one reduces your next spell cost by 3. So if you're in a desperate pickle and you need to clear a minion, you could do something like Prep Eviscerate to get the mana reduction in a turn where you need to play a lot of stuff. But more prominently, Preparation exists to combo with Sprint and help you refill your hand in the late game for only 4 mana. Drawing 4 cards for 4 mana is pretty ridiculously good, so you can do some pretty cool stuff with Prep Sprint in the late game to help you recover and stabilize. It's also just good with Fan of Knives or Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil. There's a lot of different ways to use Prep to give yourself a big tempo advantage. Then we've got Eviscerate, a 2 mana damage spell. 2 damage at its base, of course, and 4 damage anytime you combo it out. This is just your utility damage spell. 4 damage to the face sometimes will be all you need to win the game. You might need a 4 damage clear. It's really good with spell power because there's a lot of 5 health minions you can clear with Eviscerate. It just does a little bit of everything, and it's very cheap, so it's easy to slot into turns and allow you to pull ahead. Then there's Sap, another 2 mana spell. This one returns an enemy minion to your opponent's hand. It can be just a huge tempo gain if you take something like a Tyrian Fordring and send it back to their hand. They just wasted 8 mana and you only spent 2 to accomplish that, so that's a 6 mana tempo advantage. But also it's just good to get through taunts if you're pushing for lethal. If there's something you can't answer right now but need to buy yourself a turn or two, Sap can allow you to do that and squeeze out wins where you dig for lethal while they're still refilling their board. Blood Mage Thanos is one of many deathrattle minions in this deck, but he's not really there for the deathrattle synergy. Blood Mage Thanos is more about the card draw and the spell damage. It's just a nice way to cycle a card pretty cheaply, and being able to boost spell damage for 2 mana can combo really nicely with Eviscerate or Backstab, allow you to do stuff pretty efficiently. Honeycreeper, another 2 mana minion. This one is here for the deathrattle synergy and to just give you a little bit more consistency in the early game. The meta is leaning pretty aggressively right now, with some aggressive Zoo decks and really hyper-aggressive Shaman decks. So Honeycreeper's just one more body to get out on the board, and the deathrattle sets you up pretty nicely for turn 3 Unearthed Raptors. Remember, we're not trying to pull off crazy tricks with Unearthed Raptor, we just want value plays, and Honeycreeper helps you set those up. Nerubian Egg is along the same vein in that it's a 2 mana body, setting up big turn 3 plays. It's a little bit slower than Honeycreeper, granted, because it can't attack right away, but you do have a pair of Defender of Arguses in this deck that allow you to activate your Nubian Eggs, plus they're just kind of shields against area of effect clears. Your opponent feels pretty bad casting something like a Holy Nova if they turn an 0-2 into a 4-4. Fan of Knives is really, really good in Hearthstone right now just because there are so many 1 health minions everywhere always. So it helps you clear lots of Silver Hand recruits or imps from Warlocks, but also the card draw is really nice. It's a good cycle for 3 mana, plus if it's buffed by spell damage, doing 2 or 3 damage for 3 mana to the entire enemy minion board is really, really powerful. Brann Bronzebeard is one of the key cards in this deck that helps it exist in the first place. He's got a pretty basic body as a 3 mana 2/4, but his effect, Battle Cries, trigger twice. So you'll notice there are a handful of Battle Cry minions in this deck, namely Earthenring Farseer, Unearthed Raptor, Defender of Argus, Antique Healbot, and Azure Drake, all of which, anytime you play them, their battle cries go off twice. So Azure Drake gets 2 cards, Antique Healbot heals for 16, Defender of Argus buffs for 2/2, Unearthed Raptor steals 2 deathrattle, or copies 2 deathrattle effects, and Earthenring Farseer heals for 6. So all those cards benefit from Brann Bronzebeard, particularly Unearthed Raptor. If it copies a Piloted Shredder, for instance, while Brann Bronzebeard is on the board, your Unearthed Raptor will suddenly summon 2 2-cost minions instead of 1, making that one of the best 3 mana plays imaginable in the entire game. So Brann can do a lot of different things. He can keep you alive with Antique Healbots. He can help you dig for cards with Azure Drake. He can just help you build your board to an incredibly resilient level with Unearthed Raptor. It's just a great overall minion. The next 3 mana minion is Earthenring Farseer. I've seen a few decks like this, similar lists that have some cards swapped here and there. Most of them are running a pair of Antique Healbots. But for my version of this list, after some playtesting, I found that Earthenring Farseer is just a little bit better than Antique Healbot because it gives you so much more mana flexibility, but still heals you for 6. But committing 5 mana in a turn is very challenging because you don't always have the Brann Bronzebeard 16-point heal, right? Sometimes you're better off just having a 3 mana, 3 health heal that helps you deposit the same size body on the board. It's still 3/3, but it's better earlier, still combos with Brann just fine, and helps you stay in the game a little bit quicker. Whereas Antique Healbot's kind of a bailout late. Earthenring Farseer can help you make sure you don't fall too far behind in the first place. Another 3 mana minion in the deck is Si7 Agent. This is really just the go-to rogue early game minion. 3/3 body solid, and the combo effect is really nice. It's just a backstab attached to it for free. So you'll get a lot of value out of Si7 Agent. There's nothing too surprising there. And then also Unearthed Raptor. There's quite a few 3-drops in this deck. This is the new League of Explorers card that really makes this deck possible in the first place and gives it its name. It's a 3 mana 3/4, which is really, really good on its own right. It's a nice body. But the Battlecry effect is just nuts. Choose a friendly minion, gain a copy of its Deathrattle effect. So there are a handful of Deathrattle cards in this deck: Blood Mage Thanos, Honeycreeper, Nubian Egg, Piloted Shredder, and Sylvanas Windrunner. Any of which, if you copy them, you're going to unearth some extra value from Unearthed Raptor, which is really, really nice. If you do it with Brann Bronzebeard, as we mentioned, it doubles the effect, so it gets even stronger. And, you know, honestly, even if you play this card as a naked 3/4 from time to time just to stay up on the board, that's okay. It's got a nice solid body that can help preserve you in a really aggressive meta, so you don't always have to wait for a really big turn and make sure you copy your Sylvanas. Sometimes it's fine just to play it as a 3 mana, a 3 mana card in the first place. So up next is Tinker's Sharpsword Oil. This is pretty common finisher to see in rogue lists. There are only 1 in this deck because this deck's really more about building the board and controlling the board and setting up your own minions than it is just sneaking out burst damage. But it's still nice to have this for a finisher. You can pump out an extra 6 damage in a single turn thanks to Tinkers, which is nice. Especially with prep, you can do it even quicker. So sometimes it allows you to trade up minions or clear something particularly big with your weapon, and that's always good, and other times it just gives you lethal damage, which you never want to pass up. Then there's Defender of Argus. This is another card that benefits from Brann Bronzebeard, and also is nice with the deathrattle cards in this deck that tend to deposit bodies onto the board. So Piloted Shredder, Honeycreeper, and Ruby and Egg all leave things on the board and make it likely that you'll have a minion around to benefit from your Defender of Argus buff. Plus it's just good against really fast decks that are trying to kill you because you set up a pair of taunts that can help keep you alive. Don't underestimate the power of Defender of Argus. And then Piloted Shredder is the ultimate 4-mana board presence card. The deathrattle synergies exist, it does damage, it leaves you with stickiness and an extra minion on the board. You can't go wrong ever playing Piloted Shredder on turn 4. Anti-Keelbot is kind of your recovery card. If you do happen to fall behind in the mid-game, this can buy you a little more time to catch up and recover your health total. With Brann Bronzebeard, it will often win you games just because it's a 16-point heal, which is just totally nuts and really stops any aggressive deck in their tracks. Azure Drake is another rogue minion that's kind of a staple. It's got a good body, it's got a great card draw effect that combos with Brann, and the spell damage is always nice when you have so many different damage spells. Something like an Azure Drake Eviscerate clearing a Sludge Belcher is a great turn. Azure Drake Backstab can do crazy things too. Sylvanas Windrunner is just another mid to late game body for you to drop down and threaten people with, but also combos with your Raptors, and in general is just a good thing to have to help you finish out your curve. This is not a control deck per se, it's really more of a mid-range deck, so you don't want to go too far above 6 mana. And Sylvanas is really the ultimate 6 mana deathrattle minion. You could consider something like a Piloted Shredder or maybe even a Dr. Boom to round out the curve, but as it stands now, this deck doesn't have any big game hunter targets, so Sylvanas is pretty good to keep at the end of your curve and can do some cool stuff. And then finally we have Sprint. This is just your get out of jail free card for card advantage. If you burn through your hand too quickly, Prep Sprint will get you right back in the game in no time. It can also just help you dig for lethal. There are a lot of card draw mechanics in this deck, so you probably won't be too reliant on Sprint, but it's really nice to know that you have it there when you need it and are desperately looking for lethal at the end of the game. So that's our card-by-card analysis of the Bearded Raptor Rogue. I want to talk quickly about the Mulligans and then take this deck into a game or two. As far as the Mulligans are concerned, you're really looking for early game bodies and potential tempo plays. So clearing the board and building your own. So Honeycreeper and Ruby and Egg are your best two options at the 2 mana slot. They'll let you get a body onto the board, and they're particularly good with Unearthed Raptor. If you think you're playing a slower deck, focus on Honeycreeper and Ruby and Egg and Unearthed Raptor. If you think you're playing a faster deck, and you might need to clear the board more so than build your own board, then Si7 Agent and Backstab should certainly take priority over Ruby and Egg. Ruby and Egg can be a little slow because it doesn't trade initially, and it's kind of a deposit into the future instead of something that fights for the board right now. So if you're playing a really hyper-aggressive Shaman or Warlock or Hunter, maybe pass the Ruby and Egg in favor of looking for the Backstab or the Si7 Agent or even the Earthen Ring Farseer. And of course, if your hand is anything greater than 3 mana, you should always throw all of it back. But depending on whether you have the coin and what kind of deck you're facing, consider taking something like Unearthed Raptor or Brann Bronzebeard just to give you that 3 mana body. And if it's a deck that tends to have a lot of tokens, keeping a Fan of Knives is advisable from time to time. So now that you've seen the cards and kind of know what the mulligan looks like, let's just go ahead and take this thing into action, because I think that's going to be the best way for you to learn both the mulligan and the general gameplay strategy. Alright, so we have a Warlock. That's could be good, could be bad. We don't really know what kind of Warlock that's going to be. There are 4 or 5 different viable Warlock decks right now, so who knows what we're going to encounter. So we probably don't need a sap right away. That's really more of a late game card. Even though it's 2 mana, we don't want it in our mulligan. Fan of Knives could be good if it's like a zoo and plays a lot of imps, but Since we do have a couple other 3-drops and we know we have the coin, Si7 Agent's great, and Earthen Ring Farseer could also be great, because this could be our turn 2 play, and Earthen Ring could be our turn 3 play. I'm going to keep Fan of Knives as well, just because we know we have a turn 2 and a turn 3, and this might give us some flexibility. We'll see what we get over here. That's not good. That's much too slow. Okay, so this is definitely a fast zoo deck. We don't have a turn 1 play. We don't need to coin out our weapon. That's not going to help us any. But coining out the Si7 Agent next turn could help us ping off a second minion over here that's particularly scary. It looks like he's using a life tap. Interesting. That gives us even more options. So his 3-mana play is likely going to be an Imp Gang Boss, which I don't have a way to kill even if I were to play the Si7 Agent. Next turn I'll have 3 mana. The coin won't enable a turn 5 play, 5-mana play. The Fan of Knives won't look too appealing, I'm guessing. I'm going to go ahead and just Hero Power here. And we are going to attack this, just in case we want to coin out the Si7 Agent and kill it. We might get something like a Backstab, which makes it even better, because we'll have to waste the coin if we want to play the Si7 Agent comboed out next turn. Yeah, so there's the Imp Gang Boss. That's okay. We're actually just going to play this Earthen Ring, since we did take enough damage to make the heal worth it. His board kind of trades awkwardly into it. He can trade in, but if he does, it sets up for our Fan of Knives or our Si7 Agent. We could play the Raptor, but we're wasting the effect, and it doesn't trade any better, really. It survives the board, but isn't better against the board. Fan of Knives is going to be good if he goes nuts with the Imp Gang Boss, or if he uses an Implosion here. He's not going to do the trade. Okay. So we can coin out an Si7. Fan of Knives is not good. We could coin out a 5-drop as well. The Azure Drake actually trades pretty well into this board, which makes me want to coin out the Azure Drake. Plus we have other turn 5 flexibility next turn. I think we just want to coin out the Azure Drake, build our hand, make this trade. If he doesn't clear it, Fan of Knives can do some crazy stuff. We got options. If he makes these trades, we can kill with the Hero Power. We have a nice hand too. 7 cards is good to have. Okay, that makes things a little more awkward, but not the worst ever.
Why do you call?
So Fan of Knives can actually do some work here, but it makes me a little sad that I don't get to further develop the board. Plus, I don't know what's going to come out of this Void Caller if I Fan of Knives. If I Fan of Knives into a sap and he plays like the Mulligans comes out, that could be really nice. He has 4 cards in hand. It's not particularly unlikely that he has the Mulligans, but or a Doomguard or Jiraxxus or anything else. What other plays do I have? I actually can't combo the Si7 Agent because I used the coin last turn. I could just play a Shredder, but he has 7, 8, 9, 11 damage on the board. I think I just go for the guaranteed value out of Fan of Knives. So we want to spawn that other imp first so that the Fan of Knives hits it. See what he gets out of the Void Caller. That's the real threat here. Okay, this is the Doomguard. That's not ideal, but at least it wasted the charge effect. We removed just about as much off the board as we had before, so Doomguard didn't help a lot, but or hurt a lot, but Alright, we're in a tight spot here. Kind of getting overwhelmed. Alright, so that has to die. It represents 4 damage, and it's only 2 health, so we can kill it. But how do we do that? Do we just play an Unearthed Raptor for the body, and then combo the Si7 into it? We can't combo both Si7s, unfortunately. We don't have the mana. There's a good chance we're going to be dead next turn, no matter what we do, I think. But I can't afford to play the anti-heal bot, because it heals for 8, but then we keep that 4 damage, so it's only a 4 damage gain. And it'll still be good next turn. I think we just have to play this for the body. And then Si7 this. And hope that we're still alive. But it's not particularly likely. Yes. An 8-9, Assault Firepower Overwhelming. There's a handful of things to kill us. That's probably the power overwhelming, huh? Not dead yet, but... Okay, so he left us an out. We need a sap. Sap Healbot would keep us in it. That probably won't. Is there an out here? We just can't get rid of this. We can trade here. 6. Tinkers allows us to do what? Not much. Because I can't use my face to clear. This puts us at 10, but it leaves 11 on the board. So that doesn't help. I can't even kill my own Sylvanas to steal that. That would be a possible play, but I don't think that's an option either. Is there any outs? I just don't see an out. It's a shame we didn't draw a taunt or the sap.
Choose soon.
There's no outs.
Lights out.
He's got lethal on board, so I don't like to concede. Just I like to give people the chance to kill me, so let him play it out. But well, that definitely sealed the deal. Alright, so we got a little too far behind there, which is sad. We didn't draw our big tempo stuff like a Backstab or even a sap would have been good. Or a taunt. He was able to just ignore our board and push for face.
Valir versus Valir.
Watch.
Okay, so we have another rogue.
I always do.
Oh, we have the coin again, so that makes Si7 pretty appealing. We can afford to keep these 3 cards because we have a turn 2, turn 3 wouldn't be ideal, but also a turn 4. Let's just keep this and see what we get here. Okay, so we got a Brann too. I don't like to play Brann on curve because he's too easy for them to kill, particularly a rogue. So I like to hold him a little longer to guarantee that value, unless this is just like a hyper aggressive rogue. Which doesn't appear to be yet. Okay, that's good. Slow start for him. I might actually go ahead and thinking about coining out the Si7, although I don't think there's a need to just yet. I wanted to have a body on the board first, but the 2 damage is much more valuable if I can use it on a minion. Oh my! He didn't even attack face for a free damage. That was a mistake on his part for sure. So here we just go ahead and coin out the Shredder. We don't need the coin because we have another turn 4 play. We can also use the Unearthed Raptor on it pretty nicely if necessary.
Pay attention, class.
Okay, interesting. You don't see these every day. I like to I like to get 2 minions off on a Defender of Argus, but it sure is appetizing to just kill that right away. He's assuming I can't kill it. Well, no, he knows I can kill it, because I can just use my face. I think I'll just use my face, make this trade, use my face, and play another Shredder. Oh, that's a good minion to get off Shredder. Yeah, there's no reason to use the Argus there when I've got my face as a resource. Especially because it's only a 3 attack mid. Looks like this is some sort of token rogue, or it's hard to say for sure, but oh my goodness, is this going to be a fan of knives? Okay. Oh, Blade Flurry, wow. He's off to a really awkward start so far. I actually don't have a good play here.
Here we go.
Here I'm actually going to play my Si7 Agent naked, just for the body. I obviously don't like to do that, but I want to have 2 minions on the board, just in case I want to have a Defender of Argus turn, make him expend some more removal before we play a Brann, to give us a better way to kill stuff. There's multiple reasons here to do it this way. So this is going to be a great play. We want to kill that immediately because it's so scary for rogues to have an Ezra Drake. We have 2 minions for our Defender of Argus, and it combos into our Eviscerate perfectly. We're going to hold on to our weapon attack because who knows when we might want to use a Tinker's next turn. We don't necessarily need the 1 damage. I don't think I'll have the mana to float to re-weapon next turn, so. We have a really nice board. He has low health, although he does have a lot of cards, and I was just going to say, we don't know what kind of deck this is, but that is pretty intriguing. I respect it. Mad respect. And the prep. And there's going to be a second sap. Wow. Okay, he got some really cheap minions there, didn't he? Alright, I think we just... I'm not too threatened by any of this stuff. I'm going to sap the Summoning Stone. He just used a lot of spells. He has to spend 5 mana if he wants to use it again. So it only leaves him 3 mana. He can't, like, prep a sprint because he just used both preps. I think sapping is just going to put him so far behind on tempo that we pull ahead. You can trade into the board pretty easily. It feels like he's very far behind, but again, I don't know what's in this deck. You never quite know. We just have a lot of cards. Alright, so he does this naked sprint. Thank God the Summoning Stone was gone. Could have been bad. We have 6, 7, plus 6 is 13 damage, plus 2. I think we have lethal, right? Let's see. That's 6, 7 with our weapon. This is equivalent 6 as long as we combo it. So what we can do is, it puts us at 13. The Defender of Argus puts us at 15, but we can actually Brann Bronzebeard and then Defender of Argus for 7 mana to give the extra 2 damage and then prep out the Tinkers for... But the only problem is if the Tinkers lands on a Brann or the Defender of Argus. So we have a 50% chance for lethal right now. But we also build a crazy board. He could do a crazy weapon. Tinkers is 6 mana plus Blade Flurry is 9. That hits our board for 4, and everything has 4 health. It's a little bit risky, but we're gonna go ahead and make this play. We've got a chance to have lethal right away. Okay, so we got the lethal. It's a 50-50, so it was worth it. Still, we're left with a crazy board, so that was well worth the risk. Let's go ahead and play one more game of this deck. That game gave a pretty good sense of how it works, but Still haven't gotten off a good Brann or Unearthed Raptor turn. Actually, the Brann there gave us lethal, of course, because it did double the power of the Defender of Argus.
Valera versus Malfurion.
I must protect the wild.
Watch your back.
Okay, so Druids typically have problems dealing with minions. But they can also drop really big threats early. So I kind of want to keep the sap here, even though it's normally not good to have in your opening hand. We do have a turn 2 and turn 3 anyway. So I feel safer than normal keeping the sap, just because if they play like an Emperor Thaurissan on turn 1 or something, we have a way to deal with it. So this is a pretty good early game hand to put bodies on the board. And the coin 2 is always nice with the Si7s. He's probably going to want to play the Darnassus this turn. We can't kill it right away. Oh, that's good. He's getting off to a slow start. No Wild Growth or no Darnassus Aspirant is always nice. Just going to play on curve until I figure out I need to do something different. I'd like to see an Unearthed Raptor next turn. Next draw. Oh, he's off to a terribly slow start. What is in his hand? That's scary. I'm glad we've got 2 saps. That could make a big difference. So, there's an opportunity to play the Brann here, right? For 3 mana. If he swipes, he's using a 4 mana clear for a 3 mana card. It's kind of awkward for him. I think I'd rather just play the Naked Si7 again. I hate not using the combo, but even if he has the Wrath, it's a little bit awkward for him. He can't put a big minion out. We can coin into a 5-drop still. There's no reason to activate it. 2 damage on his face is not important right now. So he's probably going to have to hero power again, because that looked like it was off the top of his deck and he didn't have a... Okay, innervate. He's finally making plays. He's going to silence this. That's actually not too bad for us. Because... it can still be buffed by Defender of Argus, so there's other ways for us to activate this. I think here, I want to get this off the board just because it's there and I need to play stuff, but he could have a good turn 5, so I don't know that I want to use my removal on this. I could cycle with Fan if it's awkward mana. I could play Brann, but it's much more likely to die. I kind of want to just hero power. And leave that out there. But I'm afraid I'll fall too far behind if I do that. So, I'm actually going to coin...
This guy's toast.
Face and clear. This leaves me susceptible, but with 2 saps, I think it's more important to get out on the board than it is to save removal for something like a Druid of the Claw. If it's an Azure Drake, we can kill it multiple ways. He's already used 1 Innervate, so he could Innervate like a Boom. That'd be a little scary, but we can deal with it. The Fan of Knives generally doesn't get much value against Druids, so using it as a cycle. So that is what happened. He's gonna... he just enabled our Fan of Knives wonderfully. Now I have no question to use that. Save for damage to my face. And cycle a card. We have a good turn next turn with Sylvanas. It's really nice of him to not just taunt up there. I wonder why he did that. Maybe he was worried about the sap. Just gonna cycle off of this. And clear it. That's actually smart. Not everyone would have the... Oh, he didn't clear it. Well, he's leaving us a body for Defender of Argus. Okay. He has used both Wraths, right? Yeah, I feel pretty safe playing Sylvanas. Worst case scenario, he swipes and attacks it with his face, I believe. And that's 6 mana, which gives us a hero power Azure Drake next turn, or potentially more options. If he doesn't have an answer to Sylvanas, he's going to feel very bad developing the board. Alternatively, I could play the Azure Drake, but it's perfect for the swipe.
I have no time
Here
for
we
games.
go.
And I'm gonna use my hero power because this is my expected turn. Next turn is Azure weapon up, so I should have some leeway there. We still have 2 saps and a backstab. We can do some pretty cool stuff. Okay. I'd like to be able to kill that. Oh, I can't though. I can do 3. Can't use backstab twice though, right? Doesn't work that way. Oh, it would sure be nice to use that on that. I'm thinking about sapping this just to get it off the board and enabling an Unearthed Raptor Brann turn that makes this a nightmare to deal with and allows me to push for tons of damage. In fact, I'm gonna do that.
Let none survive.
Just for tempo alone. Yeah, I know he can heal and he can draw more cards with it, but it costs him 7 mana to do so, so he's right back where he started. He's already got 9 cards in hand, so drawing puts him at 10. That was a risky play. I don't know that everybody would make that play. I could have just traded and had the board, but I like where this leaves me. The fact that Sylvanas is still around and I can use Brann on Unearthed Raptor is very intriguing. So he's gonna clear. It's a little annoying. He's just gonna clear everything. So we gotta use 1 combo to clear here. That makes me feel a little safer in general. Yeah, he did that wrong. He loses the attack there, so he's valuing that more than face damage, which is intriguing. Do I get to keep this now? No, I don't know how that interaction worked. So sadly, I think I'm going to have to cycle here. I don't think that's going to get much value elsewhere. This helps me get a body on the board. And still have resources in hand. 3 mana draw card's not efficient, but we didn't have a great turn. The Unearthed Raptor couldn't do anything. The Brann couldn't do much. So he actually has a way to clear that. That is interesting. I thought this was going to be safe no matter what. It's not ideal for us. Backstab, Tinkers. I can't kill this though. I can kill this, but I can't kill this. I don't think we want to sap just yet. I think unfortunately we're going to have to play a Naked Brann Bronzebeard here. It's just to give it the buff on Tinkers. I don't want to waste the buff on Tinkers.
Who knows what secrets will uncover?
I actually don't have to backstab, I guess. I'm not going to backstab. I was going to backstab that, but there's actually no reason to, is there? I was thinking I had to activate Tinkers, but Brann did that. Now you may ask, why did I play Brann instead of the Unearthed Raptor? Simply because I think the Unearthed Raptor is going to give me a greater chance to further develop the board in a future turn than is Brann. In other words, giving this, copying Piloted Shredder's deathrattle will do more than double healing off of anti-heal bots. So see, you're actually going to see that in action right here. So now I'm getting an extra pair of 1/1s out of the Unearthed Raptor. Before, I wouldn't have accomplished anything with Brann. Brann would have been a dead body here. So that was the right decision, even though it might have seemed a little awkward. So he used the swipe. It's probably has another one though. He can probably swipe again.
I must safeguard the
He's gonna silence. It's not too bad actually. We can deal with all this. Oh, he does the second swipe. Man! So we're starting to fall a little behind here. Plus, we're in combo range with these minions on the board. So what do we need here? That's a start. can't kill either of these right now. Sapping them won't matter. We're in combo range either way as long as there's one of them. So we just have to hold on to this stuff right now. We could have really used some card draw. An Azure Drake, something. I think we still have one Azure Drake. There's a good chance we're dead. No, he's healing. That's okay. Though we're kind of running out of late game options. Azure Drake Fan and Knives sure would be good, but we've used them both. It doesn't help us too much, does it? I think we just have to kill this. And we taunt whatever we get out of it. Ugh, that's a pretty cool minion, but not now.
My shield for
Here we go.
We are out of gas at this point. We need a sprint, or really we don't have much left to win the game. He's going to have a higher density of good cards at the end of his deck than we are. Since we were unable to pull ahead and win in the mid-range portion of the game, it's getting really tough from here on out. Oh, he's loading up the board. Is he going to preserve his shade and make this trade? It's interesting. Oh man, where is Fan of Knives when you need it? Ugh, that isn't it.
Here we go.
So we're dead to the board right now. In fact, the only way we can survive is this. And we know he has 7 damage, and there's nothing left in our tank. We can't win. This game is over. It's all but the pleasantries now. I guess he's digging for lethal, but I don't. What does he have left? Charging Druid of the Claw, I guess. It's weird. He must have lethal. He's got a combo or something. Why else would he do that? I mean, could have pushed for 7, put me at 1. He's giving me opportunities to come back into the game right now. Seems not smart. He's just giving me chances to survive. Like, I can almost kill the stupid thing now. In fact, I can kill it, but I die regardless. So the game is over no matter what I do, right? Yeah, he has 8. I can't.
Here we go.
Well played, sir. Well played. Pretty standard mid-range Druid he's running, it looked like. I didn't see anything unusual in that list. Feels bad to end the game on an empty hand this row, but that happens from time to time. Okay, well, I think you got an opportunity to see the deck in action and help guide your gameplay decisions. We lost a couple times, but you saw a win as well, so hopefully you can replicate that one and not the losses. But I do find this deck's pretty successful so far. I think I have about a 60% win rate so far. It's really good. I've beaten Secret Paladins. I've beaten other mid-range Druids, despite not beating this one. I've beaten really aggressive Shamans. It's great to taunt up, and I healed for 16. I haven't played a ton of late-game control decks yet, but for the aggressive and mid-range decks so far, I found it very successful. And on top of that, it's a lot of fun. So I hope you do enjoy the Bearded Raptor Rogue. I know I am. If you do decide to play it, good luck out there on the ladder. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on.